You know, I've traveled across this country for decades now, spoken to thousands upon thousands of people, and do you know what I've discovered? Success leaves clues. That's right, success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues I've found is that extraordinary achievement on the outside begins with extraordinary development on the inside. Some people are still looking for that magic formula, that secret strategy, that hidden technique that will transform their lives overnight. And I say to them, with all the kindness I can muster, you're looking in the wrong direction. You see, achievement isn't primarily about what you know, it's about who you become. Now, let me share something profound with you. You can have all the talent in the world, all the connections, all the opportunities, but without character, it will all eventually crumble. Character is the foundation upon which everything else of value is built. Everything. What is character? Character is who you are when no one is watching. It's the private decisions you make that shape your public reputation. Character isn't personality. Personality is what people see on the surface. Character runs deeper. It's the well from which your life flows. I want you to imagine two houses, one built on sand, another built on bedrock. When the storms come, and believe me, in every life the storms will come, which house remains standing? The answer is obvious, isn't it? The same is true of people. Those with shallow roots, with character that shifts with the wind. They cannot withstand life's inevitable pressures. But those who have taken the time to develop depth of character, they remain standing no matter what comes their way. Today, I want to talk to you about developing the kind of character that doesn't flinch when challenged. The kind of character that earns respect without demanding it. The kind of character that creates a legacy long after you're gone. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about the steady, consistent work of becoming someone worth becoming. Let me begin with the cornerstone of unshakable character: integrity. Integrity simply means wholeness, an alignment between what you believe, what you say, and what you do. Without integrity, nothing else matters. With integrity, everything else becomes possible. You know what's interesting? We live in a world where many people find it easier to tell a lie than to tell the truth. They say what's convenient rather than what's accurate. They make promises they have no intention of keeping, and each time they do this, they chip away at their own foundation. I want to share something with you that might seem simple, but it's profound. Tell the truth. Tell the truth to others, yes, but even more importantly, tell the truth to yourself. Most people live in denial about their own weaknesses, their own mistakes, their own contribution to their problems. They point fingers outward when they should be looking inward. Here's a powerful discipline. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did I compromise today? Where did I say one thing but do another? Where did I act in ways that don't align with my deepest values? This simple exercise builds self-awareness, and self-awareness is the beginning of positive change. I remember talking with a young entrepreneur years ago. Bright fellow, full of potential. He told me his business was about to take off. Had been saying that for 3 years. When we dug deeper, we discovered he was exaggerating his sales figures not just to others, but in his own accounting. He was lying to himself. And guess what happens when you lie to yourself? You can't solve problems you refuse to acknowledge. Let me give you a rule for life. Never trade what you want most for what you want now. Short-term gain through compromise leads to long-term pain, but short-term pain through integrity leads to long-term gain. People of integrity may not always win in the moment, but they always win in the end. Remember this: integrity isn't something you demonstrate for others. It's something you live for yourself. It's not about looking good, it's about being good. It's not about reputation, it's about character. And the wonderful thing about integrity is that no one can take it from you. Only you can give it away. The second pillar of unshakable character is responsibility. Not just responsibility for your actions, but responsibility for your life. All of it. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Now I want you to consider something interesting. The word responsibility. Break it down and what do you get? Responsibility, the ability to choose your response. You see, between what happens to you and how you react, there's a space. In that space lies your power and your freedom. Most people live as victims rather than victors. They say things like, I am the way I am because of my circumstances, because of my childhood, because of the economy, because of what they did to me. And as long as they hold on to these stories, they remain prisoners of their past. But people with character, they draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I am responsible for my life. I may not control what happens to me, but I always control how I respond to what happens. You know what's fascinating? Two people can face identical challenges and have completely different outcomes. One person says, this is happening to me, while the other says, this is happening for me. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. The difference isn't in what they experience, it's in how they choose to interpret and respond to those experiences. I want to share something powerful with you. Excuses cost more than effort. Every time you make an excuse, you surrender a piece of your personal power. Every time you take responsibility, you reclaim that power. I've met so many people who say they want success, but they're not willing to take responsibility for creating it. They want the rewards without the risk, the gain without the pain, the trophy without the training. But life doesn't work that way, does it? Life rewards those who step up, not those who step back. Here's a challenge. For the next 90 days, eliminate these phrases from your vocabulary. I can't. If only. They won't let me. And it's not my fault. Replace them with I will. I can. I must. And I am responsible. This simple shift in language creates a massive shift in mindset. Remember this. Responsibility isn't a burden. It's power. It's not something you carry. It's something that carries you. When you take full responsibility for your life, you move from being a passenger to being the driver. And that, my friends, is where true freedom begins. Now let's talk about discipline. The daily practice of doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is to character what exercise is to the body. It strengthens it, shapes it, and makes it capable of extraordinary things. Most people misunderstand discipline. They see it as punishment, as restriction, as the absence of freedom. But true discipline is the pathway to freedom, not away from it. Discipline is doing today what others won't, so you can do tomorrow what others can't. Here's a profound truth. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your daily disciplines define your destiny. It's not the occasional big decision that shapes your life. It's the small decisions you make hour by hour, day after day. I often say, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. These aren't just clever sayings. They're philosophies for living. They're calls to discipline. Let me ask you something important. What are you postponing that you know you should be doing? What difficult conversation are you avoiding? What healthy habit are you delaying? What unhealthy pattern are you tolerating? Your answers reveal the gaps in your discipline. Discipline has two parts: doing what you should do and not doing what you shouldn't do. Both require strength of character. Both require saying no to immediate gratification for the sake of long-term fulfillment. I want you to understand something. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. The temporary discomfort of discipline is nothing compared to the lasting pain of regret. The momentary inconvenience of doing what's right doesn't compare to the long-term consequence of doing what's easy. You know what separates the successful from the unsuccessful? It's not intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It's discipline. The discipline to show up when others don't. The discipline to persist when others quit. The discipline to learn, grow, and adapt when others remain stagnant. Here's a simple but powerful practice. Identify the one discipline that, if practiced consistently, would have the greatest positive impact on your life. Then commit to that discipline every single day for the next 100 days. Watch how this one commitment begins to transform not just your results, but your character. Remember, discipline isn't something you have. It's something you practice. And with consistent practice, what begins as difficult becomes easy. What begins as uncomfortable becomes natural. What begins as a choice becomes a habit. Let's talk about something profound: the choice between acting on your values versus acting on your feelings. This distinction separates those with circumstantial character from those with consistent character. People with weak character let their feelings drive their decisions. They do what feels good rather than what is good. They pursue what brings pleasure rather than what brings value. Their mood determines their actions, and because moods fluctuate, their behavior fluctuates too. But people with strong character, they recognize that feelings are important but not supreme. They understand that emotions make wonderful servants but terrible masters. They've learned to ask not, "What do I feel like doing?" but rather, "What does this situation require of me? What do my values call me to do?" Let me share a profound truth. Your feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you to quit when you should persist. They'll tell you to speak when you should listen. They'll tell you to take when you should give. They'll tell you to indulge when you should abstain. Don't build your life on such shifting sand. I remember counseling a young man years ago. He was considering leaving his marriage because he had fallen out of love. I asked him a simple question. When you made your vows, did you promise to maintain a feeling, or did you promise to maintain a commitment? The question stopped him cold. You see, he had mistaken a feeling for a value. And feelings come and go, but values, well, values are the North Star by which we navigate life's journey. Here's something I want you to consider. What are the core values that define who you are? Honesty, courage, compassion, loyalty, excellence, whatever they are, write them down. Review them daily. And most importantly, when faced with difficult choices, ask yourself, which action aligns with my core values? Then do that, regardless of how you feel in the moment. You know what's remarkable? When you consistently choose values over feelings, something interesting happens. Your feelings begin to align with your values. What once felt difficult now feels natural. What once required willpower now feels like preference. Your character doesn't just guide your choices, it begins to shape your desires. Let me give you a principle that served me well. Never sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. The momentary pleasure of abandoning your values never justifies the lasting pain of compromising who you truly are. Remember, character isn't built in a day. It's built day by day, choice by choice, value by value. And in time, these consistent choices create not just a reputation, but a legacy that outlasts your lifetime. Now let's talk about the true test of character, how you respond when facing temptation and adversity. Anyone can display good character when skies are blue and paths are smooth, but character is forged in the furnace of challenge and revealed in moments of testing. Temptation always targets your weaknesses, not your strengths. It knows exactly where you're vulnerable and it strikes with perfect timing. That's why unshakable character requires self-awareness. You must know your own weaknesses before temptation exploits them. Here's something worth pondering. Most people fall not because temptation is so strong, but because their commitment to their values is so weak. They haven't decided in advance where they stand, so when temptation arrives, they negotiate rather than navigate. They debate rather than decide. I want to share a powerful strategy with you. Make important decisions in advance. Decide before the pressure hits. Determine your boundaries before they're tested. Because when you're already decided, temptation loses its power to persuade. As for adversity, well, adversity doesn't build character. It reveals it. When you're squeezed by circumstances, whatever is inside you comes out. If there's complaint inside you, you'll complain. If there's blame inside you, you'll blame. But if there's courage inside you, you'll face whatever comes with dignity and determination. Think about it. Diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. Steel is strengthened by intense heat. And character? Character is developed through difficulty. The very challenges you're facing today are the raw materials from which stronger character is being forged. I often tell people, don't pray for an easy life. Pray to be a stronger person. Don't ask for lighter burdens. Ask for a stronger back. Don't seek to avoid problems. Seek to develop the wisdom and courage to solve them. Here's a powerful principle. It's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's how you respond to what happens. The same wind blows on all ships, but it's the set of the sail that determines the direction. I remember meeting a remarkable woman years ago. She had lost her husband and 2 children in a terrible accident. When I asked her how she had survived such tragedy, she said something I'll never forget. I couldn't control what happened to me, but I could control what happened in me. I decided not to let pain make me bitter. I decided to let it make me better. That's character in action, choosing growth over grievance, purpose over pain, meaning over misery. And that choice is available to all of us, regardless of our circumstances. Remember this. Adversity introduces you to yourself. It shows you who you really are when the facade falls away. And that self-knowledge, painful though it may be, is the beginning of transformation. Let's explore one of the most underrated aspects of character, consistency. Not the flashy, dramatic gestures that attract attention, but the quiet, steady actions that build trust over time. You know what's interesting? We live in a culture obsessed with the spectacular. We celebrate the overnight success, the dramatic transformation, the revolutionary breakthrough. But real character isn't built in spectacular moments. It's built in ordinary moments, repeated thousands of times. Think about it. A great life isn't the result of one correct decision. It's the result of 1,000 correct decisions. It's not what you do occasionally that shapes your character. It's what you do consistently. Your habits shape your character, and your character shapes your destiny. I want you to consider something profound. Your words may impress people, but your consistency will influence them. People may listen to what you say, but they believe what you do, especially what you do when it would be easier not to. Here's a powerful truth. Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. It's the small things that no one sees that result in the big things that everyone wants. I remember a mentor of mine who built an extraordinary business from nothing. When I asked him his secret, I expected some sophisticated strategy or brilliant insight. Instead, he simply said, "I did the basic things every day without fail for 30 years. That's the power of consistency. It compounds over time in ways that are almost miraculous. Let me offer you this principle. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. And habits aren't formed by what you do occasionally. They're formed by what you do consistently. Character isn't something you build in a weekend seminar or from reading a book. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice, over a lifetime. Think about someone you deeply trust. Why do you trust them? Isn't it because they've been consistent? They keep their word. They show up. They do what they say they'll do. They live their values not just when it's convenient, but when it's costly. Here's a challenge for you. Identify one character trait you want to develop. Maybe it's courage, generosity, discipline, integrity, and then create one small daily practice that develops that trait. Do it every day for a year. Not because it produces immediate results, but because consistency itself is the muscle of character. Remember, consistency may not be glamorous, but it's powerful. It's the difference between those who make promises and those who keep them, between those who start strong and those who finish strong, between those who impress and those who influence. Now let's discuss perhaps the highest expression of character, leading by example. Not manipulating others to follow, but living in such a way that others are naturally inspired to follow. Here's something I've observed over decades of working with leaders. People are convinced more by what they see than by what they hear. Your example isn't just a part of your leadership, it is your leadership. Your life speaks so loudly that people can't hear what you're saying. Think about the people who have most influenced your life. I'm willing to bet they weren't primarily people who talked about excellence. They were people who demonstrated excellence. They didn't just point the way, they led the way. They didn't say, "Go." They said, "Let's go." I want to share something profound with you. True influence isn't about position, power, or personality. It's about personhood. It's about the quality of character that earns the right to be heard. People may follow a title temporarily, but they follow character permanently. You know what's fascinating? We think influence comes from what we do, but it actually comes from who we are. Your children will become more what you are than what you teach. Your team will rise only to the level of integrity they see modeled in you. Your words set the bar, but your example determines whether others will attempt to reach it. I remember visiting a manufacturing plant years ago. The CEO had been trying for months to improve safety protocols. He'd sent memos, held meetings, posted signs, all with minimal effect. But then he did something simple but profound. He began wearing safety equipment himself, even when just walking through the plant for a few minutes. Within weeks, compliance with safety protocols improved dramatically. Why? Because example isn't the main thing in influencing others. It's the only thing. Here's a challenging question. If everyone in your family, your organization, your community followed your example, not your advice, but your example, what would they become? Your answer reveals the true measure of your influence. Let me give you a principle that served me well. Never expect from others what you're unwilling to demonstrate yourself. Want honesty? Be honest. Want excellence? Be excellent. Want commitment? Be committed. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept, not just for others, but for yourself. You know what's remarkable about leading by example? It requires no special talent, no advanced education, no particular position. It requires only the courage to live your values visibly, consistently, regardless of who's watching. That's the essence of character-based influence. Remember, your example isn't everything, it's the only thing. It speaks louder than your words, your title, your intentions. And the beautiful thing about example is that it invites rather than demands, inspires rather than requires, pulls rather than pushes. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with some final thoughts about developing an unshakable character, this inner core of excellence that shapes everything else in life. Character isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. Like a great cathedral that takes generations to complete, character is constructed slowly, intentionally, with vision and patience. And like that cathedral, its beauty and strength come not from any single stone, but from how all those stones work together. I want you to understand something profound. In a world obsessed with image, appearance, and impression management, character still matters. In fact, it matters now more than ever. When everything seems to be spinning, character is the staple center. When everything seems negotiable, character is non-negotiable. When everything seems relative, character is the absolute. You know, I've spent decades studying success, and I've come to a conclusion that might surprise you. Success without character isn't success at all. It's just achievement without fulfillment, accomplishment without meaning. True success includes developing the inner qualities that make achievement worthwhile. Here's a question worth pondering. At the end of your life, what will matter most? Will it be the wealth you accumulated, the recognition you received, the possessions you acquired? Or will it be the person you became, the lives you touched, the difference you made? I believe it will be the latter, and that's why character matters so much. It's the foundation of a life well lived. I remember talking with an elderly gentleman years ago. He was wealthy, accomplished, respected in his field. But as we sat together, he said something I'll never forget. "Jim, I spent my life climbing the ladder of success, only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. I gained the world, but lost myself in the process." Don't make that mistake. Don't sacrifice who you are for what you want, because what you want will never compensate for who you become. Let me offer you this encouragement. Developing character is hard work. It's often invisible work. It's frequently thankless work, but it's the most important work you'll ever do. And here's the beautiful thing. While talent is given, character is built, which means No matter where you start, no matter what disadvantages you face, you can develop extraordinary character if you choose to. Start today. Start where you are. Start with one area, maybe integrity, responsibility, discipline, or consistency. Focus on that area until it becomes part of who you are, not just what you do. Then move to another area. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress, not elimination of all flaws, but steady growth toward excellence. Here's my final thought for you. Character isn't just about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more fully who you were meant to be. It's about scraping away the false, the fake, the superficial, and revealing the authentic, the genuine, the real. It's about becoming so solid on the inside that nothing can shake you on the outside. And in that journey from who you are to who you can become lies the greatest adventure of life. Not an adventure of accumulation, but an adventure of transformation. Not getting more, but becoming more. That's the journey of character. And it's available to every one of us, starting right now, starting right where we are. Thank you for your time and attention. Remember, your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. So begin now the work of developing unshakable character. The world needs more men and women who stand for something, who live by principle rather than preference, who choose what's right over what's easy. Be one of those people. Make that your legacy. Good day, and God bless.